All right, so now we're doing 20.3, and these are periphrastics, and these are always stuck at the end of Greek classes. They're a construction that comes up often enough that you should know about them, but they're not anything difficult. They're actually just like the English. So just as English makes tenses by adding the be verb or the have, right? I have eaten, or I will eat. Um, this is a construction in Greek that does the same thing. It uses either the present tense participle or the perfect participle. And so I have a list of examples here, and I've also posted a list of examples from the Bible, from Kunjaman's text. So you can download those too, just so you have a chance to see them. Again, it's not anything I'm going to ask you to memorize. It's just something you need to know about. And when you see a form of the ame verb with a participle, well, then you're going to hopefully remember, oh, that's a periphrastic construction. Let me go look up what the combination is. And so that's the key, is to look for the combination. When you have a present tense form of ame and a present participle, that's the same as using the present tense. And Duff does a great job of explaining how this came about. So please read that under 20.3. I'm not going to repeat that for you. But let's just look at the constructions. So I am a me, and lelusa, I am untying. And I use the feminine because I'm a woman speaking, but you're going to find, of course, different genders. So this is a present tense of a me and a present tense participle. So it is the same, we translate it the same as the present tense. It's just a second way of putting something in the present tense. I am untying. And I do think of it as a little bit emphasizing that duration aspect, but as Duff explained, we don't want to overanalyze that or over translate that, because there might be other influences. We have the imperfect of ame with also the same present tense participles. So amen, lususa, and that would be the same as just using the imperfect, just another way to form an imperfect tense. I was untying. We can have a future of ame as somai, luusa. And so now we have a future of ame with a present participle, and that is just another way of forming the future tense, and we translate I will untie. Then we can also use the perfect participle. If you're wondering about why we don't use the aorist, again, Duff explains that, so be sure and read. But let's look at the perfect participles. Amy lelukia, that is a present of amy with the perfect participle, and that's the same as the perfect tense. I have untied. Now here's where this construction, the periphrastic construction, allows the Greek to make tenses that it doesn't otherwise do easily. There is a pluperfect tense, but the future perfect, for example, as far as I know, it doesn't have just simply an ending with which it can make a future perfect. So amen leluquia, that's the imperfect of ame with the perfect participle. That's the pluperfect. So I always think of the perfect as something that happened in the past. The pluperfect pushes it even farther in the past. Not just I have untied, but I had untied. And then esamai leluquia is a future tense with a perfect participle, which seems like it doesn't go together, right? We're going to talk about the future, but also the past. What we're doing here is we have a construction in which we can distinguish between different time periods in the future. So I will go to the store, and by the time I go to the store, I will have untied my coat. Um, so I haven't untied my coat yet. All of that is still in the future, but this will have untied comes before this other thing that I'm talking about. That's the future perfect tense. And So we construct that in Greek with a future form of Amy and a perfect participle. I will have untied. That's it. It's not really difficult. If you look at practice 20.3, we have 3 examples. Ho didaskalos in kathemenos met auton. So here we have the imperfect of emi, ein, and we have a present tense participle. So that's imperfect plus the present is just imperfect. So the teacher was sitting with them. Here in the next sentence, we have ento prophete estin gegramenon. So here we have a present tense of emi and a perfect participle. So present plus perfect, that's just still perfect. So we're going to translate that as a perfect tense. We're going to translate it as in the prophet, it is written, is probably the best way to translate this here. We could also say it was written, would be another way to translate that. The third sentence is kai en Yosef endedumenos kalon himation. So here we have an imperfect of emi, en, and then another perfect participle, endedumenos. And so that then becomes pluperfect. So we're going to translate that, and Joseph had worn a beautiful robe. I know that's not how Duff translates it, but I would push it farther back in the past than Duff does. And then the final sentence is timomenos de estai ho prophetes. Estai is, of course, the future tense of emi, and timomenos is a present participle. So future plus present is just the present tense, and we will translate that and or but. The prophet will be honored. The be comes from the passive voice of timomenos. So the prophet will be honored. Because voice comes in here too, so you'll have to look at that each time. I think that's all for this. Let me know if you have any questions, and we will probably see some examples of this in the exercises this week.